In this video, we're going to look at CFAP 2 and answer the question of what commodities for farm and ranching is qualified, what's disqualified, and then what we really want to know is what am I going to get paid. We're actually going to help you go on the computer and be able to kind of look up the pricing. First thing it does, if I have animals for resale for hunting, do they qualify? Versus if I have cattle for resale, or I have, do they qualify? What crops qualify, what don't? So that's part one. And then part two is we're going to help you figure out how to look up the price. So if I've got alfalfa, I'm going to show you how to be able to look it up and know what the rate of pay is. Mm-hmm. Look cattle up, look corn up, look barley, soybeans. The point of it is, this website that we're going to go to here, and I'm going to move over to it, it's actually the USDA farmers.gov. And if you go out to farmers.gov, you'll find this, and it'll be the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. So as you look at here on the computer, I'm going to go down to CFAP 2 for eligible commodities and Finder. Now, when I do, I'm going to go to the commodity payment rate. And this is going to be a lookup for you. But before I start looking up products, right here under commodity payment rate, you'll be able to see in this second paragraph a link over to farmers.gov CFAP commodities. I'm going there first because that's the first thing I told you I'd do in this video. And when we get there, we then see eligible and ineligible commodities. As I roll down the screen here, we're going to see commodities first that are eligible. And they're more there's a lot of items. I think there's over 250 items that qualify. So instead of us trying to do a video and say these items qualify, these don't, we felt it was much better if you went straight to the side. So Debbie, here's we go down through here, the eligible. There's actually three categories that we're going to look at today. So what are those three categories?
The price trigger commodities, flat rate crops, and sales commodities.
So in doing that, going down this chart, what's the difference in those definitions? And again, that's why we went here first, to show you what qualifies, what doesn't qualify, but also show you how in a minute when we go over to the pricing to show how they come up with that pricing. So the first area here on the computer is price triggered commodities. And as you can see, the examples, eggs, crops like corn, soybean, dairy, livestock. And then our next category, Debbie?
Is the flat rate crops. And those don't meet a trigger point for the price decline. Because
there what we're going to find out is in our third area, the third area crops, what makes you in the second rate, the second group versus the third group, Debbie, is because exactly that. These didn't trigger because of pricing, whereas when we get to the sales commodity, we're going to see that there's two different pricing. So go on, what kind of crops then would qualify for the flat rate?
We would look at alfalfa, buckwheat, canola. Flax, hemp, indigo, industrial rice, the list is quite long.
And so as we look here on the computer, you've gave them some of the examples. So one of the things I like is buckwheat. And actually I have buckwheat in my garden. I use a lot of buckwheat in my garden. But do you think it's going to qualify?
Probably not.
No, because I use it for weed control. So I'm serious. A couple of places in the garden I've actually planted buckwheat 4 times, tilled it up because I grow a garden, but I don't use petroleum fertilizer. So I guess my buckwheat's not going to work. Then the third category is going to be the sales commodity. And the reason for this, again, it's going to qualify either because that it's a flat rate crop. And for example, I'll take corn. I think it's $15 an acre. So I'm either going to get $15 an acre, or there's a calculation that when you go online to fill out this application, it's going to calculate which is better. So the areas down here on the computer, the sales commodities, and you can see all the different categories. Matter of fact, on a couple of the other videos we did last week, we were getting questions on dairy, and that's kind of what helped me to try to do this video because then I get to thinking, 250 plus commodities, how do you put that on a video in, 8 or 10 minutes? And so I did some homework. So I'm going to be able to answer a group of questions in the dairy area. So the point here is there is, again, 3 categories of qualified. Here, if you look in the fruit area, here on the computer, I mean, look at all the different items. So just looking down through here, kind of to recap, to get over what we really want to do is, again, this screen here is that we're looking at eligible commodities in 3 areas: price triggered commodities, flat rate crops, sales commodities are our 3 areas. Now, the opposite of what qualifies is
ineligible.
Ineligible. And so if we look at the bottom of this page, we're going to find out ineligible, for example, hay, except for alfalfa. So again, right here is the area of items that do not qualify. And what USDA says, if you happen to have a commodity that is either not qualified or ineligible, or it's not in the qualified list, then you need to contact USDA, because in the CFAP 1, they actually added additional commodities that they had somehow overlooked. So in the final calculations, there may be additional items updated. So now we've looked at what's eligible and what's ineligible, but I want to know our really second question: what is my price? So what I'm going to do is go over and look at commodity payments. So if you look at commodity payments, and this is, and if on the, and I'll slide up a little bit, on the USDA farmers.gov, if you go to CFAP 2, eligible commodity finder, this is again, how much do I get paid? And so I really like how they did this, because what happens here is if I go down under commodity payment rates and I click on type, for example, it pops up here. Here's alfalfa. I'm going to click on alfalfa. Go down below where it shows me alfalfa. I'm going to see results. This commodity, I look here, is you've selected alfalfa and showed below. And if we look below, alfalfa, Debbie, what does it tell me here on this little chart?
Yep, it's eligible acres of alfalfa at $15 per acre.
So it's eligible and my rate. Okay, give me something else you'd like to select. Don't go too far in the alphabet, because this is a scroll. Okay.
Let's just look. There's some weird things in here.
Okay, I want to look at, I'm guilty. I got beef, so I'm going to look at, and here's interesting. Don't look under cattle. Don't look under livestock.
Cattle.
And this is one of those, if you don't think it qualifies, you better look, because I first looked for, I looked for livestock, then I looked for cattle, and then I found it under beef cattle. So I click here. So I've selected beef cattle, see result, and what's going to happen is it tells me here it's eligible. And again, Debbie, what's it telling me the rate is?
It's telling you that it's $55 per head. It also tells you, because beef cattle could be a wide range of things, so it's also telling you to exclude your breeding stock, and it's giving you the dates that it's qualifying for.
Okay, again, what's the highest amount during that time period? So that's kind of how this works as far as eligible cattle. But let's put this to the test. And here's what I want to do. Let's see what happens if I mentioned on the onset about, what was that, raising animals for hunting. Well, let's see if we have something here. Let's go back. I think I saw it somewhere. Animals raised for hunting. It's there. Maybe I'm in luck.
But does that mean it qualifies?
You're not nice. And here's the results. Uh-oh. See what? Ineligible commodities. And that's what so it doesn't qualify. And that's what I like about this, because in the first part of the video, we went over to the same website, but we went over to say, here's commodities that qualify, don't qualify, or ineligible. And that's so we could kind of get an idea. That's a quick lookup. So if I'm just wanting to know, I go over there. But if I want to see what I'm going to get probably paid, if they don't run out of money, just joking. But this lookup engine is just, I think, super And it also is in response to many of the questions we got last week, over the weekend,
Right.
toward, can you tell us how much we're going to get paid? So I think this is a great insight. You know, is there any other commodities you'd like to look at? I mean, let's do one more and then we're going to call this thing quits. So let's look down here. Apples. Okay. I forgot to delete animals, so I'm going to do that. We go back to apples. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look at see results. We see results. I scroll down and look what, it's kind of a different twist. We were so much an acre. That was under category number 2
Right.
for crops. We looked at animals, we looked at beef cattle. That was in the first category and that was per head. So the first category is per head. The next group was by acre, but apples is specialty crop because why? We either going to get that $15 base or we're going to get some multiplier of it. So let's look what happens. And this is based on the 19 sales. So if you had sales up to 49,999 or below 50,000, then you're going to get a percentage payment factor of 10.6. And below it, it explains some more of it. I think you need to look at that. But I think the important part here is we've looked up 4 items, one in each category, and then again my animals for honey, which was an ineligible. So again, I can't say enough about this works. I hope this program helps you. And just in recap, let's go to the top. Remember, you're going to go to the USDA farmers.gov, and again, look under eligible and ineligible commodities. That's the first area. And then secondly, look at eligible commodity finder. Works great. Thank you. Please click on that little bell and subscribe. And as we update and go through the fall and getting ready to head into the winter, we'll keep sending you out additional updates. Thank you, Debbie, and let's have a great one.